This video is for anybody who feels overworked, like maybe even like all their work is hopeless or starting to become meaningless because all you ever do is work and you burn out and you're tired, and you don't want to do anything, you don't call your friends back and you just bed rot or watch movies. I want to help you out. I'm a 39-year-old millionaire. I've been a millionaire since I was 25. I was homeless at 23. And even though I work a terrible amount now, even more than when I had to get out of homelessness, which I'll tell you that story, it's important. I love what I do now, and it's not about the money. And that's going to be a part of what I want to share with you, but not in the way that you're expecting, I promise. I believe in getting rich, and I believe that you should have money too. I'm not going to posture here like some regretful millionaire and tell you that money doesn't buy you happiness or money's not everything. Life can suck, and to work your life away for someone else and get nowhere is meaningless. And I want to give you guidance, actionable shit that you can actually use to maybe make it through. And I want to unlock for you what eventually unlocked for me. Sure, I became a millionaire after going homeless, but the nature of the work was survival. I needed to get out of that. And then I almost crashed everything I've ever built just a few years ago. I lost the only woman I ever loved, fell into a depression, started to hate myself, started to hate everything I became, which was this rich douchebag. And I actively sought my own demise. And now, years later, I'm back in love with the process, but for a completely different reason. And I'm going to unwrap this chronologically so you can go through what I went through in a short YouTube video. So please like the video. I promise there's value. Mindset is a little abstract, and sometimes unpacking what it takes to get there can feel like unwinding a Rubik's Cube without any stickers on the outside. My name is Sean Rocky Jeech. I've built 6 separate businesses. 4 of them have done at least 7 figures a year. This is one of my Airbnbs, and to save the flexing douchebaggery, the point of this is I got to spend a week painting. I'm working on the wall mural outside right now, and I did a bunch of large abstract pieces on the inside, and it's an absolute blast. I've had a great time getting this property ready for show. And that's what we all want, right? To do something that can make money and to love what you do so much that you can be like, hey, this is so cool. I might as well be on vacation. And yes, I promise you that actually does exist. I'm living that dream right now, and that's why I want to share. First, I'm going to fast forward you through my childhood. It matters. Parents were abusive, alcoholics, manipulative. I had a lot of shame as a kid, and I had validation-seeking behavior. If you want the trauma dump, we'll save that for a different video. That led to me getting into sales, and my sales manager would give me validation every day that I had a good sales day. So naturally, I became the best sales rep in that company within 3 weeks. 200 plus sales employees, and I was number 1 right away, some 19, 20-year-old kid. That led to years of sales and sales management. I was bad at management, which then the company demoted me for not being a good leader. And I went homeless because I was too proud to get another job. I was making just a hair shy of 6 figures in the newspaper industry, selling newspaper subscriptions in grocery stores. Who would have thought, right? But all the effort that I put behind the job, 12-hour days, 7-day work weeks, yeah, I was able to get up there. And you know what? There's a couple things you might already relate to right here. Working for validation. Not being self-aware that that's exactly what you're doing and someone's controlling you by giving you validation. And 2, your belief that making more money has to be harder. That was a mind bender for me. Selling newspaper subscriptions was the only way I ever knew to make real money. And then getting into Airbnb, for example, night and day difference. Then getting into coaching. I teach Airbnb. That is also extremely easy because I feel aligned with it too. There are some things that take a very specific skill set. So making a YouTube video might be pulling teeth for one person. It might be like breathing for another. So I don't want to alienate anybody by saying that being a coach is easy. But I'll tell you, for me, as opposed to selling newspaper subscriptions, coaching, way easier, okay? And both Airbnb and coaching make way more money than newspapers. But I think that's a little bit obvious, right? The Scottsdale sun is so hot. I'm going to try to do this video before the camera explodes. And let me give you something. Since I'm ADHD, I have to self-manage in this video. There's a lot to unpack there too. Before I give you the whole story, with all of the tangents, what is actionable so far from me between 12 and 25? Self-awareness may be the most important skill of today, especially with social media, everything getting thrown at us, all the rage bait, all the triggering, all the politics, identity politics. It's wild outside. It's wild out there. And as creators and companies get better at pulling on the psychological strings that get you to react, your self-awareness is going to be the way to defend yourself and to navigate it all. You can actually play the game. if you're self-aware enough. Because if you're Freudian, anything you know about yourself, you could assume about other people. And yeah, Freud had it figured out. Man, that guy was a mess, but dude, Freud really had it figured out. If you want a shortcut to human psychology. But second, we need to unlearn all of the bullshit. Red tape exists everywhere. Doctors and lawyers and engineers and everywhere else. But Google is a prime example of how the bullshit is all fake. Pardon my French, guys. But a doctor or a lawyer will tell you, you have to go to school for 25, 60 years to be a doctor, just so you can make maybe $200,000 a year. But then Google makes a website where you can learn to code, and they give you little challenges to see who can solve the puzzle with the fewest lines of code. And if you do it, they call you and try to recruit you. And eventually you have a $500,000 a year job because you played around on a Google product online and learned to code on your own. There's a talent shortage in tech. And Google decided, instead of keeping up with this us versus them, rich versus poor gatekeep, like doctors and lawyers do, the white collar jobs, Google said, let's put something out there and really find raw talent, right? Talent exists. Alignment exists. And as industries get older or as countries get older, the rich need more ways to defend themselves because the bottom gets more desperate to claw out. When the United States was young, everybody was making money. Remember like Western expansion, then the gold rush, and then industrial era, the dot-com boom, crypto right now. Everybody's looking for a way up. But as countries get older, money moves more slowly. It starts to sit in the hands of the rich. In order for the rich to stay rich, they need to leverage poor people. But in order to keep poor people poor, they need to psychologically trap them into thinking that they belong down there because moving up is just way too hard. And I had to go homeless to learn this. My friends, I had to be in newspapers, fail at leadership and management, go homeless, and then read a book by Ram Charan called The Leadership Pipeline. That is written for like upper management and CEOs, right? Which is written for the big dogs. But I'm sitting there homeless at a Starbucks off of Post Oak and Westheimer in Houston, next to some kid that wants to start a marketing agency. And I think that he's actually doing pretty okay now, like 14, 15 something years later. Good for him. His name was William. But I'm sitting there reading every book I can get my hands on. And this book said that super salespeople are probably not going to be good for management, so don't promote them to management. Just give them really good commissions and let them do what they're good at. They'll stay with you as a salesperson. But if you take a person who's charming and good at sales and works super, super hard because they're an individual contributor, kind of hustler, racehorse, you put them into management, they will try to sell the entire team's quota to solve the problem, and they will eventually fail. And that's what I did. The book called me out and said, company, it's your fault if you put someone like me into that position. So at that point, when I was homeless, reading this book for CEOs, I forgave myself because the failure wasn't completely mine. It was that my company should have known better than to put someone like me in leadership. And it was a combination of that book and a few other books like Crossing the Chasm, 0 to 1, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, Multipliers, Brain Steering. All of these books get you to look at the world a little differently. And yes, ChatGPT can give you the too long didn't read. For the most part. The stories can stick with you though. That's why I recommend reading, because if you can buy into the emotional story of the book, you're more likely to remember it. Emotional experiences form stronger memories. So reading the book and getting into the book is kind of paramount. A great ADHD story for this. I failed math twice in high school. Graduated 2.1 GPA. I was 198 out of 212 students or 213 students. I was bottom 10% of the class. After I started my first business, after going homeless, I realized I needed to know accounting to pay employees and stuff. So I took a winter course at Houston Community College, a 3-week-long accounting course, and I aced it. Perfect score, because I was intentionally wrapped up in everything they were telling me, because everything they were telling me about ledgers and all that bullshit was directly related to problems I was currently having as a business owner. The context of the math made me a mathematician. And this is where the actionable second part of this comes in. This is also how I can work so hard every single day. I just had a videographer here. He just flew away yesterday because we're both based in Dallas. And we talk a lot about random stuff because I like to mentor, right? I like to teach people stuff, not just hire some videographer. I like to give him everything I got. I info dump him so much. But I think it's for his benefit. And one thing we talked about yesterday, because I'm up before he's up, 7 a.m., and I'm working until 10 p.m. sometimes. This project has a deadline, so of course I'm grinding. I told him that I can work 14-hour days as long as I'm interested. So that's why you'll see me work on the mural for a little while, and then I'll get away, and then I'll get on my computer and do YouTube data stuff, make some new thumbnails, test some new titles, and then I'll go work on the plant wall over the other side of the property, and then I'll go do something else, like I'll go start working on the abstract paintings or these cabanas over here, whatever it is. And I will float from task to task to task wherever my brain is interested and bite at all these little 6 or 7 things that I'm doing If I ever get obsessed with one, I'll grind through till completion. But if not, and I get a little disinterested, I'll move on to something else that's of higher interest to me. That's my brain as an ADHD person. And with that, because I value the things that I do, and I really only do the things that I feel aligned with, I get way more done. Now, this sounds like woo-woo shit, right? And it sounds like rich people shit too, right? Oh, he only does what he wants to do. And I tell my friends this all the time. I used to say it back in the day, even before I had money. I would say this like nearly quote, do not do anything that you don't want to do. And you're going to find out what you actually want and don't want in life. Like you stop paying your car note. I got my car repossessed, by the way. So been there, been there. Stop paying your car note. At one point, they're going to take your car away. And you know that. So all of a sudden, you're paying your car note because you want your car, right? A lot of us, we have an obligatory relationship to our bills. We don't even think about it like that. Like, oh, I got this car, right? Oh, I got this phone. Oh, I got this obligation. Oh, I got this job. We are so overburdened with obligation that we don't go into the facts of whether or not we want the things that we're paying for. And if you stop paying for everything because you don't want to pay for anything, right? You're sick of paying bills. At one point, there's going to be the individual thing that goes, man, I really want to keep my phone. Well, cool. I'm going to pay the bill because I want my phone, right? There's now more of a gratitude relationship with that. And yeah, it's still a bit woo-woo, but this is almost like therapy for the obligatory relationship we have to everything. I don't want to go hang out with my friends because they drink too much. I don't want to go hang out with my friends because they fight too much. I don't want to go hang out with these friends because they disrespect me. Say no. Say no so fucking much. And then start adding in the things that actually enrich you. I eventually changed the analogy once to try to explain to somebody else, which is, imagine your brain's a room, and that room is cluttered to the ceiling with boxes and memories and bullshit. In order for you to find out what belongs in that room, instead of trying to take this cluttered room and remove pieces one at a time and decide what stays, instead, because you're going to keep things in there that don't belong, remove everything. Completely clear that room out. And then for anything to make it back into the room, there's work to go back in instead of work for it to go out. So now you decide, do I want this in my life? I will reintroduce it to my life. Instead of trying to clip things away and then having to meet the bar of clearing sentiment, just be relentless and remove everything and then put everything back. You want a job? Cool. Recommit to your job. You want your cell phone? Recommit to your cell phone. You want that girlfriend? Recommit to the girlfriend. You want those friends? You want your family? Recommit to them. But uncommit to everything. Completely detach. And then only bring in what actually matters to you or serves you. And voila, you are now an asshole, but you're going to be a happier one for that. And here's what I would love to give you with this interest-based relationship to things. I don't believe this is only ADHD, right? I don't think you have to be ADHD to have an interest-based relationship to stuff. I think we all do things that we like, things that we're interested in. So it's not that weird that we don't want to do something. Told my videographer Riley that it's when I do something that I don't want to do, that I have to grind against myself to get something done, that is what's the most physically and emotionally taxing. That's what super, super sucks. So I try to avoid those situations where I'm doing something against my will. And in order to save myself from having that shitty relationship to whatever I'm doing, I try to exercise some form of context and gratitude. Like, I want to get this done because I'm going to Burning Man in a week and I'm building a city. I'm going to be one of the first people on the playa for my camp. And I'm going to be building this gigantic circuit stand and this artistic frontage. I want to get this done by tomorrow so that way I can get to Burning Man on time and do the thing that I want to do. So this is a tunnel to the thing. And because this is a tunnel to the thing, I'm generally more motivated to get this done because I also have created a super philosophy in my brain, or as psychologists call it, a strong belief. There's things that I say about myself. This is at like another action point number 3, 4, or 5 for you. Whatever you develop to be a strong belief, you will hold yourself to. Like, killing is murder, murder is bad, so you don't kill anybody. Stealing is unethical, so you don't steal. Lying is bad, so you don't lie. If you develop strong beliefs, they will guide your behavior even in the highest stress situations you've ever been in. And that's why we look at people and their actions when no one's watching, because we want to know what makes a person. We know that somebody may virtue signal in public because there's an advantage to that. But was that virtue signal part of their strong beliefs or not? We have to investigate to find in their moments of weakness, do they still hold the line on the things that they claim are virtuous about themselves? I remember reading about this woman who was a vegan, but she got drunk and was eating chicken wings, and she completely lost her audience because her audience found out that she was just posturing as a vegan for audience, even though she ate animal. And this is what I mean. So now what this means for you as far as strong beliefs go, if you develop strong beliefs, then you will behave in accordance to strong beliefs. And I've got some really messed up ones that I've had to unwind because maybe they were a little bit too toxic. Like I had one where I would say that I don't argue in relationships, that positive relationships don't argue. Well, that was really me just not liking conflict. And so I developed this super philosophy about not arguing because I made arguing negative to the point that somebody would feel bad for arguing with me just as a way to protect myself from having to ever have conflict with someone because their needs weren't getting met. I've been a bad boyfriend, bad partner, you know? And yeah, so there's some toxicity wrapped around my childhood here, but again, through my mistakes, I can learn and give you some things. Whether the strong belief is valid or good or healthy, they work. They absolutely do work. If you say things like, I never give up, I always complete my work, I always get stuff done on time, or if I can't get something done on time, I am relentless until it gets done. I'm always there for my friends. You know, these types of things that you stand by as part of your core identity, you can work those in. And so things that I believe about myself is that I can work on the fly. I do not hesitate. That's one of mine. I don't hesitate. I believe in getting into flow state and letting flow state pull me through the work, right? That I'll get into whatever task and then I just have faith that I'll just keep working and that will be good enough. That I can overcome anything as long as I try, that I don't need to have a plan necessarily. If I'm in a spot that I don't understand, just push forward and the path will present itself. That's like a belief that I have. So I go into everything optimistic and intuitive because intuition and creativity is one of my strengths and I really lean into that. And so I've developed a strong belief around that and it allows me to attack things that would normally give me hesitation. A lot of people that I outwork because they don't get started, because they don't think that they have the resources to do something. And they might not have the resources to do something. You might not have the resources to do something. But if you get half of something done, you might realize that once you get half of something done, like the easier half, that the other half, you now do have the resources for it. Like the nature of the work changes. So if you nibbled away at a project and kind of got it done like Boy Scout style with whatever you found in the woods, and then halfway through you realize that the final half, it's going to be really hard work, but you now have the bandwidth for it. Boom, you got the whole project done. One of my favorite salespersons that I've ever hired, he had a little joke. He's like, how do you eat an elephant? And I'd be like, how? He's like, one bite at a time. And you know, that's the truth about life, man. We are biting our way through the elephant of life. And another final thing I'm going to give you, which is the most negative but empowering, freeing thing I think I could ever give anybody. If you're still here in this video, thanks for rocking with my tangent, by the way. Somewhere between my child abuse and going homeless, I started to adopt nihilistic outlooks on life. I personally believe that there's some power in nihilism that people are too afraid to tap into because nihilism gets you somewhere else. Nihilism isn't somewhere we stay. It's like the rock bottom of the ocean floor, the darkest place of the mind, and we don't want to stay there. But we need to accept a few things that are true about being alive, being human, right? We're not going to be alive forever. And eventually people will forget about us. If you think about anybody on this planet, like Abe Lincoln, Napoleon Bonaparte, even Jesus potentially, there will be a point that people stop saying these names, even if it just takes Earth exploding, right? So there are no more humans left to talk. Universally speaking, we will perish and we will be forgotten, universally speaking, physical realm at least, okay? And because of this, we are wildly insignificant. My position in life is no better or worse than the next person's when you look at cosmic scale. We're all insignificant. And everything is then futile. Everything is meaningless. And if everything is meaningless, and we can accept that, then now we can create something that we define, right? On the other side of nihilism, there's existentialism or absurdism, and you can say this is all one big fucking joke, right? I think that's fun. A lot of my memes are absurdist. I'm a meme god on Instagram in the Airbnb space. I make dank memes. But what's empowering about futility and accepting it is that everything you then do is an act of defiance. You don't feel good? Okay. You feel good? Okay. You're bored? Okay. You're excited about a challenge? Okay. Someone who's mean to you? Okay. Best day of your life? Okay. Now here's the thing, man. Don't rob yourself of the best day of your life. Get into it. Play the game on both sides of the fence. When you're having the best day of your life, love it. When you're having the worst day of your life, nihilism. Okay? Reverse card, trap card. And to decide that things mean nothing and to be unresponsive to the things that suck, or to then use them as some form of greater lesson or training like Stoics, that the challenge is the way, that we need a daily dose of hurt or pain or discontent or struggle, because that is what calibrates us to the middle, right? If we only had good days and everything is relative to good days, man, that would throw you off center so fast the moment you had just one bad day. I had a friend who was an atheist in high school, and he said, I don't want to go to heaven because if all there is love and positivity and there's nothing on the other side, then the best feelings in the world will just feel like an average day again. And I would prefer to know joy through suffering, is something he said. His logic was a little incomplete, but God, we were 15 or 16, okay? But his point is like haunted me in a way. But I grew up with a lot of pain in my life, and I'm an avoidant and a disassociative and a bit of an escapist. And so I would love to escape into paradise, right? Because I want to hide from all the things that suck and hurt. That's something that I've had to grow through. And, you know, I think his words really kind of like wounded my hope that one day everything was going to be okay. I really was banking on that one day everything was going to be okay, all the way through to when I went homeless. And that's when my egg cracked, right? And I think I'm a better person for it. I'll tell people all the time, man, you need to bottom out, right? Having nothing and then getting rich isn't the lesson. Because if you had nothing, you just had no context of nothing. You were born with it. But if you have nothing and then you get rich and then you lose everything, that's where the lesson is. You have to have stuff and then lose it. You don't have to be born poor, but you have a longer journey if you're born poor. Because being born poor, you don't know the lesson of like going without as opposed to having it. Your ego cracks, you have to downsize your lifestyle. Like there's so many things that happen when you lose it. And it's the losing it that can build a ton of character. So now I try to fill my life with the things that I'm passionate about. I try to mix in art. I put a piano in my bedroom so that way I play music more often. I get into work mode, but it's flow state. So all the stuff that I'm doing, I decide that I want to do the stuff. And since it's intentional, I can outwork anybody on the planet. That's a big statement, but I do believe I can outwork anybody on the planet, right? I can keep up with them at least, you know, at the big age of 39, I still got it. And if you can bundle all of this up, no matter what situation you're in right now, this isn't like a 2-minute quick fix to instantly become a millionaire, obviously, but recognize that everybody else is about the same as you. Everybody's got an equal amount of suck somewhere in life. Other people's starting positions are different. Some people have money, but they have terrible relationships. Some people have relationships, but they have no money. Everybody's insecure. Everyone can be influenced. Influence is a huge game in society, especially with social media. Your self-awareness will allow you to navigate other people better because if you are more self-aware than the people around you, you get to play a better game, which the average person lacks self-awareness in a big way. You are now immediately at an advantage. And if you want to get somewhere in life, that's exactly what we need to look for, are advantages. Every day is a new chess game that you get to play. You can build relationships, build trust, get people to rely on you, get people to give you business or connections. You can learn skills and add points to your RPG character, you know, and scale up. And the compounding effect of you becoming more effective, more well-connected, more skilled, more confident, more influential, that tiny snowball effect will compound much more quickly than you could imagine. And you'll be somewhere in life that aligns with where you want to go, where you truly want to go. So make sure you're not lying to yourself about what you want because your parents want you to do something. And I think it was Tony Robbins that said that most people overestimate what they can do in 3 months, but they wildly underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And that's the name of the game. I've been a millionaire for more than 15 years. And some of the greatest lessons I've experienced have come from me waking up to the fact that I became some fat cat that lost all will to do anything significant with my life. And I started to decay until I was about to lose everything, and then survival woke up again. Now I have this self-awareness that survival is one of my greatest drivers, and I am also extremely prone to melancholy, comfort, whatever. I'm a bit of a hedonist. So I have to take things away from myself in order to keep myself working hard. I have to stay a little bit militant. If I give myself fancy shit, a nice place, really good food, whatever, I will ease and relax into that stuff because I've got some wounded child inside of me from my childhood that just wants a safe space. But I want to do cool shit with my life. So I'm going to manipulate myself and the landscape around me and keep my world a little bit rugged in order for me to stay rugged on the inside. That's my relationship with myself. And of course, I gift myself some fun things once in a while, but to know myself, to be self-aware, and to manipulate myself into being in the best environment for my success has been the defining variable of my life. For better or for worse, I guess that has yet to be determined. So thank you for watching this video. I know it's completely off center from what I normally talk about. This channel is about Airbnb mostly, but I'm on a 30-day challenge to make a long form video every day. And I'm like, you know what? Let's mix this shit up. So thank you for being here at the end. And as always, my beautiful friends, I'll see you on the other side.